And in a lot of cases it doesn't. You need a south-facing roof that's unshaded, and you can't cut down the trees. Well, we don't have to cut down trees, but if it's on your neighbor's property, you run into all kinds of issues. There's property owners associations and other things. To touch a little bit on the Cleantech, we go to good to produce solar panels if it took more energy to make them than they actually produced over their life. So what you have associated with this product and basically any other product generating energy is embedded cost, embedded energy. And for a solar panel, it's about 2 to 3 years. Now you have a panel that's got an expected life of about 35 to 40. The manufacturers currently are guaranteeing power output for 25 years. So that doesn't appear to be an issue in terms of meeting Cleantech. Low life cycle cost. I mean, this time of year we got to hose them off because we got a lot of power on the panels. But other than that, you don't have to go out and start anything up. You don't have to go out and change any oil. Stable source of material. The cells are made out of silicon, and the energy supply is relatively non-volatile with the sun. What we found is when we try to present these the benefits of solar to people, we try to put in perspective. If we lived in the desert and water was an issue, every time it rained, we'd have buckets and thimbles outside collecting every drop. Well, every day we get up with the sunshine, it's falling all around us. And in fact, we have so much of it that I would guess everybody in this room spends money to push it away by running air conditioners, buying sunscreen, beach umbrellas to keep it away. And what these panels do is they collect. You put it on your roof, you put it on the ground, put it on a pole, and it collects what's falling every day. You can't feel it in terms of rain. I mean, you get a sunburn, but it takes a couple hours usually. It doesn't have the same impression because it's there pretty much every day. But what we're trying to do is think of it in terms of collectors. We're just going to put a bucket outside and collect this thing that's fallen every day. And hopefully not spend a lot of money pushing it away. Growing Solar Ventures. We've seen a lot of increase in the request for information, the demands for solar, to the point that we're working with local organizations to develop training programs. Because, as I said, the pockets in this state seem to be Asheville, Charlotte, and Research Triangle. And what we're trying to do is raise the level of training in addition to raising the awareness level and the education level to be able to train skilled people and really bring this human capital. The other thing, too, as I mentioned, where we've focused now on the economics of it because we've run into folks that have received a lot of misleading information. When we did our first installation a couple of years ago down in St. James Plantation, I was talking with the gentleman from Brunswick Electric who was there overseeing switching the meter and turning everything on. And I said, is there anything else we need to be doing to meet your requirements and to fall in line with how you want to see this done? And the only thing he said to me, he said, just be straight with people. Just give them the facts. They don't pay for themselves in 2 years. Electric systems don't. They're not going to solve all your problems, but it'll get you on the path. And the first laptop I had in the mid-90s cost $5,000. I mean, you get 10 times the power for $500 now. That's what solar is going through, the solar electric panels. The hot water collectors haven't changed much in 30 years. It's a box with a copper tube in it. I mean, if you've ever left your hose in your backyard in the middle of a sunny day, you know how that works. They're pretty straightforward. Builders and developers, we're working more now with contractors. We have 2 jobs going on right now where they send us their CAD drawings, we draw on the houses, how it's going to look like. It helps the homeowners to get a better idea. It helps for the property owners associations. It's again, trying to raise the awareness level that this is going to look okay. I mean, we think it looks great. Working with accountants, homeowners will go to their accountants and say, hey, we got all these tax credits. Oh, they don't apply. And the reason is like we've seen with builders, is we have to sit down with them. Not all accountants say that. But we have to sit down with them and walk them through what's involved. And we design and install solar. But you know what? Our sales manager comes back and goes, I feel like an accountant. All I do is give tax advice. Because that's what comes right after we do the proposals. Financial programs. One of the other speakers was talking about the incentives and programs from state agencies. SRECs, solar renewable energy credits, are tradable instruments for the electricity you'll save from using solar hot water systems, or the electricity you'll generate from photovoltaic systems. Local banks, incentives, and rebates. We've been working with local banks to provide financing for these programs, because in a lot of cases you can take, through financing structures, the money you can save can wind up paying or offsetting the loan that you would take out to finance the installation of these systems. This is an example we put on to show you, and this comes, the bill was like actually $198 or something, but 2,000 square foot house, $200 a month. Solar thermal system averaged about $7,500. After we had a 30% federal tax credit, 35% North Carolina state tax credit, and taking into account the 25 to 30% of what your electricity demand for generating hot water usually represents from your bill. We can calculate what the average monthly savings are. A simple photovoltaic system, 2.7 kilowatts, $17,500 after tax credits and rebates. Progress Energy has come out with a wonderful program that began first of this year. In fact, we turned one up in Porter's Neck 2 weeks ago, the first one in the state. And it's really gone a long way to help offset the cost of these systems to get the adoption going for our customers. This is what the savings are. First year return on investment, 12.5% for photovoltaics, 27% for solar thermal. Solar thermal is large because heating water with the sun is extremely efficient. And because of that, they generate a lot of solar renewable energy credits. Now, it's saving this much a month in electricity, but it's generating revenue from selling the solar renewable energy credits. And keep in mind, you know, these are numbers after we made the point of we're concerned that we're giving good information. And you know, when we get into the conversation about money saved versus money earned, so you know, they can even be adjusted for before and after tax situations. Anyway, payback 8 years for photovoltaics, and was what we're typically seeing for photovoltaic installation. You know, we've been down to just over 6, and you know, can go as high as you want depending on what the system. The rebates in the state of North Carolina cap at 35% to $10,500. So you can see those numbers change depending on the size of the system. Be happy to answer any questions. I know we have a time limit, so we're going to end it here. But if anybody wants to talk to me afterwards or have any questions I can answer, I'd be happy to.
Next up, we have Shar talking about biofuel, her biofuel.
Okay, I promise to be brief. It was nice to hear John talk about solar systems. One of my first jobs as a renewable energy person was installing and selling solar systems in the Raleigh area for a company called Southern Energy Management, which back then was Bob, Kingery, and myself, and it was Bob and me and one other guy. And now Bob, I think, has like 100 guys and women that work for him, and you know, they're doing really well. So I hope that John and you guys can see that same kind of success here in this region. You know, and I just did the same thing. People, when I would describe to people the whole, you know, economics of solar, like, well, why wouldn't I do this? You know, and so I was like, yeah, exactly. Why wouldn't you do it? So anyway, today I'm here to talk about one company that I'm part owner of and I'm the chief sustainability officer of. And it's a company called Bar Holding, and it's actually an algae company. One of the uses for growing algae is certainly biofuels, but also there's the nutraceutical and pharma aspect, there's feeds and fertilizers, bioplastics, virtually any and all industries that are currently served by the petrochemical industry can be served by our algae industry. Captain Terry Carter and I have exchanged emails and stuff. It's good to see you in person. I know that he's recently joined the Biofuel Center, and Stephen Burke's a great guy who started that center, and I know him very well, so he's very familiar with our project. Right now we're in, we are a public company, but we haven't done the IPO, so we're in this kind of like middle ground stage, so I can reveal some stuff, but not all stuff, but hopefully if you guys have questions, I can answer them. So anyway, what is algae? Algae is an organism. I think everyone pretty much knows what algae is. It's basically an organism that is waterborne that basically utilizes photosynthesis to live. And in doing that, it creates clean water, clean air, and a lot of lipids, a lot of fatty acids or oils. And so why is it garnering so much attention now? Well, I mean, we can look at natural disaster, or we call it natural disaster, but not really nature, but you know, the disasters like in the Gulf Coast. We look at you know, the third war that we're involved in now, and all these sorts of socioeconomic issues that are concerning our country and our world. So algae is really exciting because, as Terry mentioned, feedstock is an issue because first and second generation biofuels have typically used things like corn or soybeans and that sort of thing, and obviously those are food for people, so there's an issue in terms of modifying food for fuel because people need to eat and that sort of thing. So there's, you know, a lot of issue around that, whereas with algae, and also too, and Lloyd touched on this, and we're an economic development council, so you know, there's also the economics of it. Generally, like an acre of corn would produce about 65 gallons of fuel, an acre of soy about 85 gallons, and the estimations, and these are very conservative estimations from our own personal calculations, of an acre of algae is projected to create about 5,000 gallons of fuel, but with our systems at BARD, and we're benchmarking validating right now, it's well above that. It's way beyond. So anyway, this is groundbreaking stuff, but it's pretty exciting time for us. So benefits of Cleantech down there on the bottom. As I mentioned, clean water, air, bioremediation. So again, for North Carolina, this is a really important piece too, because as we know, environmentally, one of our challenges here is raising animals for food, hog farms and turkey farms and that sort of thing. Huge environmental issue, huge impacts to our watersheds and our air quality and all sorts of things that are just pretty horrendous. And so algae can certainly play a part in that, and we intend to. The carbon induction and reduction there, our company is actually, our facilities are zero waste, and as Lloyd said, one of the poo-pooing kind of points for Cleantech is that, you know, these companies aren't actually zero waste. Well, ours is, and we sat through an enormous amount of DEP meetings in Pennsylvania trying to prove that, and I would say that if we polluted some, we probably would have gotten that air permit quicker because they would have been used to stamping a little bit of pollution, but no pollution they didn't really get right away. So anyway, our facilities are carbon neutral and in fact carbon reduction, excuse me. And so as far as part of our financial model, our financial model is extremely conservative, and right now we're above 50% in terms of profit margin. And I'm not you know, an MBA or a CFO or anything like that, but I do know that above 50% profit margin is really good. And so in that model that we have now doesn't take into account at all tax credits. It doesn't take into account at all carbon credits, which, as Lloyd pointed out, like Green Earth Energy and some of the other companies, it's literally upwards of $24 million right now we calculated. It doesn't take into account any of these sort of ancillary markets like oxygen. We have medical grade oxygen that comes off of our photobioreactors. So we have a tremendous amount of revenue streams that we're not even accounting for, and at this point we're still above 50%. So again, even if you chop off zeros, we're still in a really pretty good state here.